I guess everybody's kind of mentioned that you're playing against a team with the opportunity, if you beat them, to pass them in the table and potentially be number one at the end of the day. Is that something that you have to impress upon the players, or do they kind of get it without needing that reinforcement?
I don't have to say anything. These are the easy games. Saturday was a tough one. You know, you're away from home, comforts of your own building, your home turf, your own fans. You know, all of those things make life difficult. And then, you know, against a good side and against a side that don't have loads of fans. So the atmosphere has to be created amongst the group. And there are a lot of challenges, of course, going away from home. But coming back home, playing against a side as good as New York, as effective as New York. You know, I think top goal scoring side in the East. Said to a couple of people, and probably before, the best development system in the country, probably. There might be one or two that question that, but they have a pipeline of players constantly. The only difference between maybe one of the two more experienced players playing and not is, of course, their appreciation for the game, but it doesn't stop them being positive, energetic, forceful. You know, the way that they play and the first team plays, you know, is a really difficult style to play against. And yeah, the players have been well and truly amped up for this one. And my only hope is there's a lot of people there to get behind us and push us on.
You mentioned that home crowd. So I think 7 of the final 10, I believe, are at home. Is that something that you feel like you can build a special run in that home stretch a little bit?
Well, when we looked at the fixtures when they first came out, of course, you look towards the end of the season and say, look, we've got some serious challenges, travel and good away teams to play against. We've got to get ourselves in order to get points out of those games. I think that job away from home has been pretty much done to a good degree. We've got a very good away record. If anything now, having played less games, I think everyone wants to make sure that we finish with a good record. Our home form, and most teams' home form, really dictates whether or not you're going to win something or you're going to be in a good position come post-season. So 7 at home, we've got some tough teams, probably none tougher, certainly at this point, than New York. And if all goes well, these games will just get more and more important.
What are the challenges that come with playing several teams towards the top of the standings in a short period of time?
Well, of course, the calibre. You're running into different challenges. New York and the style of play is very different to a team like Pittsburgh or Louisville. So you've got different challenges. The positives that come out of it are that it should keep the players on a real good level of performance and attitude weekly. But I suspect, as always, with most teams, results are paramount in that. If we can maintain a good run of form, it keeps that momentum going to the next big game. And as I just said, if we do our job right, each game that comes along will be slightly more important than the previous. And that, of course, is the challenge that we have to meet.
Obviously, New York is the top scoring side in the East. I believe only Phoenix has scored more than them all in all the league. But you guys have conceded 1 goal in the last 6 matches. How do you feel like defensively you'll match up with them and potentially be able to keep them off the score sheet?
I don't think they're ever easy to keep off the score sheet. They're so positive in the way that they play. They, in many cases, throw a lot of caution to the wind. The energy of the group is the foundation of the way they play, and they ask an awful lot of the players going forward. It can leave them vulnerable. We saw in the game that got called off, they started like a train, went in front, looked like it could be a very, very tough night. But, you know, on the counter-attack, they can be a bit vulnerable. And, you know, when you commit as many players as they do to attacking situations, you know, teams like ourselves can take advantage of that. There's no doubt about it. We've proved that. Our goal-scoring record ourselves is admirable. In terms of keeping off the sheet, it's not often I'll say it, but as long as we win the game, I don't care how many they score.
Is it tougher for the midweek game or the game kind of at the end of a 3-game and 8-day stretch to worry about guys' fatigue and guys, being fresh for the game?
This game's not a problem, not at all. I think most players, having had a week in between last week and an away game and a bit of travel, but not crazy. Everyone's looking forward to this one at home, big occasion. It'll be after this. You go towards the weekend, there'll be an assessment of where bodies are at, soreness, hopefully no injuries to worry about on top of what we've got. And then really what the right group is to get a job done against a very stout and difficult Charleston side. And at this point, a side that's had more success against us than any. I know we've probably played them more times than most, but having beaten us twice, once we get to that point, I'm sure in the group there'll be a renewed vigour to put the record straight there, and it'll certainly be come what may. I mean, of course we'll be all guns blazing tomorrow night to get a victory and to put ourselves in a position to go top. But then we won't want to relinquish that if it happens, and the only way you can do that is by fighting off the challenges. You're fighting one way or another. You're fighting to close the gap, or you're fighting to keep people away from you. So the season's one long fight. It just depends in what way.
You mentioned how nice it is to end the season with a lot of home games, but how nice or critical would it be to keep that home field advantage after the regular season?
Ooh. Yeah, big. I think that's in a lot of teams' minds. The way the format plays out this year with 10 playoff teams, first 4 obviously, 7 to 10, having a one-off to get into the playoff running, as it were. If we can somehow get ourselves first and foremost into that top 4, then I think there will have been an achievement. But as we sit here right now with 10 games to go, if somebody had said to me, look, 10 games to go, you're in a fabulous spot, you're sitting third, you're 2 points off the top on the same games. There's 1 or 2 teams with a game in hand, but you're going to have to play them, most of them. Indy's the only team that are obviously going to avoid us, but you're going to play them, and now you dictate your future. I'd have taken that, definitely. And certainly with the team, the way they're playing as well.